Hello. So as I kind of predicted, I ended up making something completely different over the last week. Oh, I should get my notebook. Hold on. Let's see. Welcome. I am continuing my sort of study on minimal techno today. Let me know if you have any issues hearing things. Okay. Today I wrote some things that I want for my track. I don't know if you can read that, but yeah. Some of those things include tasteful distortion, 4 on the floor, hats that aren't just hats, that's a big one, free-floating intro, and I'm sort of building something like that right now. The goal is to put together a structure that I can actually use over the next several patterns, and I'm always trying to build on this idea, but I always end up kind of missing the mark slightly. So I have this clean pattern with these ideas. So the hi-hat that I have today, instead of being a hi-hat, is kind of more of a rhythm of some kind. Just like all crunched up and slowed down. So I think what I'm going to do with this one is give myself a kick. This little clappy thing is one of my favorite parts of this right now. It's an MPC clap or snap or something. It's kind of got this randomer bring vibe. Hey Pat, welcome. So, I have this sub thing, and I've been sort of developing it over the course of a few patterns. I just started this morning, but I wanted to share it because I'm excited about it. And eventually it sort of gets to this place that feels a little more and one thing that I find really exciting about this is I linked my Minotaur to my Korg NTS1 here, and putting a really low decay on reverb with a high mix. I've been playing with some different reverbs. I really like this one. Of course, we have to figure out how we're going to arrive there. So I'm starting with just a basic sub here. Maybe I start with just a click, that sort of snap thing. Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun playing with the sound design capabilities of this thing. Particularly just giving it like a really tight tape delay. Check this out. Especially if I give the sub here like a really short envelope, filter envelope. You can hear that. So something that starts out pretty simple, you just sort of sculpt it over time, and what's fun about this is I can actually play with it as I'm performing. But I might also just want to dial in a vibe. One thing that I've also been kind of playing with, and forgive me because I'm a little new to the whole MIDI control thing with the Octatrack. So I'm sort of diving into that just a little bit today and with these minimal techno tracks. I've mapped CC2 to the VCO2 of the Minotaur. And so that lets me control something. Lets me control this particular parameter with an LFO. So for example, I could have this trigger every time one of these is triggered. Let's say 1. Adjust the speed. And then I can manually map that so that we're hearing something happen to that. Right? And of course, it can get crazier than that. You could set it to random, for example. So I'm thinking, like, what if I just had it synced to the track, made it fast, set this to 32 so that it feels like it's within the same rhythm. A little too fast. Still too fast. That's cool. Accidentally reset it. Hold on. C3. It's actually pretty cool. Hopefully this still counts as minimal techno. I feel like it does. looks actually pretty cool. One thing I want to set up real quick is, this is what, speed 32, multiply by 2. So I'm going to set this to 8 and then reduce this to 16.8. That way that gives me a little more headroom to move the speed in case I want to p-lock that later on, which I might. Yeah, sometimes I really hate that if you hold down a trigger, sometimes it interprets that to be an actual clearing of the trigger. I don't know why they do that. I have a few things that I could play with here. I have tracks 4 and 5 set up so that there is something going on. I just don't know if I feel like using them here. Yeah, so I'm sort of slowly building towards... Actually, I think I'm building towards this. Oh shit. Heuristic. Trying to like control this bass a little bit. Welcome, Rob Art. Wow, I'm honored that you would have watched the last one twice already. That's crazy. I do have that that last session lurking in bank 7 right now. This morning, I should know by now that if I give something a week, I'm probably going to be making something completely different. But here we are. And I don't know, I was just kind of messing around with different samples. The inciting incident, as it were, for this project, for this particular track, was I was listening back to the video from last week, and I was like, I kind of wish I didn't use an actual hi-hat for the hi-hat sound, and I wanted to just sort of like have some rhythm that doesn't feel quite as predictable. So I just threw a bunch of distortion on this kind of hi-hat-y thing. And ended up with this kind of pattern here. Kind of cool actually about this, and if we just sort of zoom in on the hi-hat here, I'm going to do that by just muting all these. If you were to set a LFO to this distortion thing, I keep forgetting what it stands for. EasyBot mentioned it last time. It's like frequency something. If I was just to move this around, you wouldn't be hearing the same kind of texture every time. So I could, let's see if I have any left. Pitch is being used at the moment to help that, to help sort of create variety, basically. So I could set my third LFO to adjust that parameter ever so slightly, 72. So now it's basically going like this. Sorry, it's going like this. And if I was to turn off the depth, I can sort of mimic what it would sound like. And it just sort of varies it just a little bit. And this works with something like the, you know, something as textural, I guess, as the hi-hat. I don't know if you'd want to try it on like an actual melody or something, but You can kind of hear it shuffling around. And it never quite repeats, hopefully. Oh shit, this one doesn't even have hi-hat in it. Okay, so starting with pattern 1. Couldn't you set your LFO to randomize the start point for the noise sample too? Yes, I could do that. Yeah, it really all just depends on how much variation you want. Right now, the way that I'm operating my my loop is I have no idea if it's synced up. It's actually playing at a particular rhythm that where are we at right now? Slice 1. And it is sliced up. But if I were to change the actual start point, they're actually yeah, it's just one of those tracks that it doesn't quite guarantee success every time, and sometimes you want that, sometimes you don't. So in my case, the variations that I'm looking for are a little bit more specific to the texture of it and less the rhythm, because I've sort of manipulated this rhythm in a particular way. The way I'm sort of choosing to change rhythms per pattern is basically taking one long loop like this and then designing certain hi-hat rhythms. Hi-hat, I don't really know what this is, but designing certain rhythms around that and then using these LFOs to just sort of adjust the feel of them. Although this one, why did it go back? Shit. It's totally supposed to be distortion. Tempted to take this even out. Do I use different banks per pattern? Not sure what you mean exactly. I use the same pattern, or sorry, I use different patterns per. I'm using 5 patterns in the same bank for this particular track. Yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is set this to paste on all 3 parts. This is our starting part, and we're going to start with track 3 low, so that way we can sort of build it in. This always turns out badly though, because I always set it and then I move it, and then when I go back, it's like I forgot to reload or whatever. Okay. I did do the firmware update, and I've actually experimented with the tempo per pattern, but this time around I don't actually need to do that. Actually, so sorry, I don't know how to describe this except that I am telling it to play every other time, so that this gets to play that last 2 notes. So what I'm going to do is start this way. So I would say this would go to here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, okay. Yeah, they're pretty great, to be honest. Fader foxes just make they fit into my workflow very quickly. I will say that they do change the way you think about controlling the Octatrack, because it becomes so second nature to do it that way that it's hard to imagine going back, and it's actually freed up a lot of how I use the crossfader. I think maybe I would end up using the crossfader in slightly more creative ways if I didn't have a fader fox, but I do. So that's where I find myself. Yeah, okay, so I have this pattern that just happened to be in here, and I think what I'm gonna do is only bring it in here. Because the issue is I find myself having problems removing things a lot of the time. I just want to have everything playing, and then I just don't know where to go from there. It's like I climb this big tree, and then I'm like, oh shit, I have nowhere left to, I have no more space. So for example, I would clear this from every, this just happened to be in the background. It was muted so I couldn't hear it. Oh, and then the tricky part is now I have to, oh God, I have to set this to track to part 2, hopefully. And then here's where we start. And what if I flanged this? And then if I'm going to have this be sort of the foreground, I need to take out some of these. And I don't really like the space that it's in by this effect. I feel like it's a little too was I? I was just doing a lot of not music during that time. I was taking a little break. I was doing well, actually, just sort of letting my brain rest a little bit because I was making a lot of music, and it was kind of my birthday and a number of other things that sort of treated it as a little break away from Octatrack stuff. I actually have been uploading things on SoundCloud, very ambient things. And yeah, I just wasn't really feeling like sharing that part of the process because it felt like sometimes making things under the pressure of recording always made me feel like I needed to finish something within a certain period of time. And I still haven't finished a lot of those things, but there's a lot of demos on SoundCloud if you want to check it out. But thank you for asking. Actually really into, I'm going to sound design this for a little bit. Hold on. Oh yeah, one of the criteria I mentioned, or I didn't mention yet, but that I wrote down in thinking about this project, was that there's a 99% chance that whatever I make is going to be heard on headphones, ideally. So I've been thinking about ways that I can sort of take advantage of that. So as opposed to making something for a room or something, which, you know, I don't necessarily think that heavily about that because usually I end up like mixing in my headphones a lot. But I do end up like imagining it in the room, hearing it in the room. And this time I want to sort of push what it would mean to make something for headphones. And some of these sounds sound like something that would work best in headphones. It sounds like there's sounds like there's some kind of delay, but it's actually built into the sample. So the box on the left is called a really nice compressor, RNC by FMR Audio. Somebody recommended this to me on this YouTube channel, and I apologize for not remembering who that was, but I'm pretty sure it was recorded, and in the archives of my channel you can find the day that that was recommended, and it has been really awesome. It has its own sidechain input functionality, but I actually love just putting everything through it and then just watching the kick naturally just kind of create that effect. Yeah, it's super awesome. And what's nice is that it sort of provides a little bit of a dynamic tightening before we head into the analog heat. And then I can kind of mess with it even further. One thing I do wish is that the sequence steps would not be bound by this master sequence, but I think that that would require redesigning the octatrack from the ground up or something like that. Yeah, one thing I could do for this, knowing that we're at 6 here and 6 doesn't go into 64, you can hear it repeat, but we can also set this to 128. 128 does go in, 6 does go into 128. Actually, no, it doesn't. I'm stupid. It goes like, it does not. It's like 20, 21 and like 1/3 or something. But at least you won't hear it as much. And that'll delay that feeling of reset, which I'm trying to avoid. Another thing about that is pattern setting. I think what I could do is set it so that this is pattern 5. 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3. And since it's set to pattern setting, it won't change until the very end of the 128 steps. We could even set this one to 128. Because it being techno, and at least, you know, the kind of techno that I'm working on right now, things are going to be longer, you know. I'm not necessarily going to be changing patterns that quickly, and I'll probably have a pretty good sense of like clock time in terms of like probably going to move every 8 bars rather than every 4 bars, at the very least. Probably the smallest, the shortest phrase will be 8 bars rather than 4. All right, I'm going to take a bathroom break. I'll be right back. Okay. Yeah, the space has changed. My studio right now, we had an electrician come in and they had to knock some holes in some walls to rewire stuff. Apparently the cabling, the power lines were caked into the drywall as opposed to actually inside the walls. So they had to knock some holes and reinstall everything. So my studio's a mess. I'm out in this other room and still finding ways to enjoy it though. The space is so different because it's basically the same room as my living room. But we got headphones, so. All right, so let's revisit what we've done. My general principle that I'm operating on is that I'm gonna have like 4 patterns to create the first phase in the track or first like section. Then I go to section 2, section 3, section 4 if I need to. This is pretty broken up, honestly, and it's probably more broken up than I'm used to. But we'll see how that goes. I think that it's better to err on this side than to have too few and then have to move everything over. So if I don't use enough, then maybe I'll just keep certain ones blank and then just jump to 1, 5, 9, and 13 as the kind of main nodes or checkpoints. And each of those will have its own part as well. So let's just make sure that that is set up the right way. It's not, okay. Starting over. And again, great thing about the NTS1 here, if I take all these out, you know, I have like my most basic sub here. I can still mess with it and find something that's, you know, interesting to me that time. what's cool is I have my MIDI CC set to a particular value, so even if I mess with this, it'll jump back every time. Right? Yeah, I think I need more spots in my 4 patterns here, and I think I'm using them inefficiently. Hold on. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I'm going to move this pattern over one. And what's cool is I can actually move this. Where is it? 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This one. The one that's changing in filter LFO, because basically what's happening is that this LFO is really slowly moving, and it's choosing a different filter start point and yeah, it's choosing a different filter start point at the beginning of that trigger, and whatever's determining it is this very slow LFO. It's sort of undulating, so it gives it a little more variation, and I want to import that into this track. Yeah. So that gives me a little more, like, something more fun to play with. Yeah, so I'm gonna take this this track out. And so then track 4 is going to be pretty much that, except with hi-hats, I think. And I think I need to copy it over here as well because I didn't last time. So copy that one trig that has that LFO p-locked. Can't I copy page parameters? Yes, but it's not operating on the whole thing. It's only operating on that one trig. So everything else, like I don't want the LFO, that particular LFO to be affecting it because I want everything else to feel kind of low. With these, I've done a little bit of adjustment with the notes, but I haven't actually changed the filter. So I'm basically choosing for this to have a different filter point so that when you hear the same pattern over and over again, you're getting that one note and it just kind of has a different moment for you where everything else is the same. So we can sort of... Cool, okay. Yes. Yeah, so that LFO is specifically for slowly moving the filter, and I p-locked it so that it would only affect one of the trigs, one of the notes. And you can actually hear it sort of cut off because it's returning to the non-LFO state. Sorry, that's actually a different one. Oh, these are MIDI tracks. Whoops. Ooh, that's fun. And that was just me adjusting the envelope on the filter. But we also don't want it to get too big because it is minimal techno. So you can make it pulsy. I'm actually kind of into that sound too. Kind of lo-fi-ish. And something that I'm doing here, which is similar to the trick that I was showing you before, is I'm p-locking a single trig so that it is triggering an LFO that is controlling the frequency of VCO2. I can draw out the effect of that so you can hear it a little better. I'll open the filter as well. You can probably hear it really well at this point. Maybe if I up the note. Actually, let's just take that pattern and copy it over here. Maybe take down the filter a little bit. Yeah, one thing that's kind of cool about that, though, is that if you reduce the randomization to like something very short, like what I have is like maybe 12 or something, 10, and then you lower the filter, it really kind of crushes what's going on so that you can't really tell that it's notes, and you know, it's techno, we don't want too many notes. So you end up kind of having this feeling that's almost more like a sound than it is polyphony, which it technically is, but that's just a fancy name for two frequencies playing at the same time. And when you sort of hold on to some of it, keep it from playing out, you can kind of hear it's more like a sound than it is like a chord. Hey, where'd it go? Yeah, it is kind of like a crazy Game Boy. Yeah. I've already used all three of these for stuff, so I can't use any more. But if I'm using just one Minotaur, you can actually basically have, 6 tracks, 8 tracks of MIDI controlling the same mono device, and assign different LFOs to all these different tracks, and just make sure that you don't have, multiple notes being triggered on each one. And they'll all trigger this one device with different LFOs, I think. I haven't actually tested that out that much. So I'm going to do what I said I was going to do, which is take this. And it did it again. Fucking... Did it again. Have you ever had that issue where it just like resets your trig. What's fun about this too is I've got this in a track here. This is what AB from this stereo effect. So I could put. Oh, I already am distorting it. So. Okay. One more time from the top. Yeah, I like the idea that I would just start with the bass so that kind of lets me dial in a sound that I want to use that time, because I feel like that'll probably be part of how I start the track in the first place, is just sort of playing this note and being like, how do I want it to sound this time? Yeah, I agree. Something that looks like this that I actually had to put together with a screwdriver, very impressive. And the knobs are just so immediate that it's actually replaced my Empress reverb as like my go-to. Why is it playing twice? Oh, whoops. Yeah, I need to fix this. Hold on. No more patterns. Oh yeah, I forgot. Okay. That's it, I think. I'm gonna mess with this, and I will very much try to make this into an actual track and not let it sort of fall into uh, the how do I describe it? The memento-esque way I have of making ideas and then having them drop into the ether. But I'm gonna probably mess with this week, and then I'll record some stuff and hopefully have a track to share with you guys. I'll probably put it up on the SoundCloud, or at the very least, I'll like give you a rundown of how it works. I very much do want to turn this into a track, so stay tuned for next Tuesday. I'll come up with some other figures and figure out how to end it too. And I'll share it with you Tuesday, 2 p.m. next week. All right.